Donna Adelson was the matriarch of a wealthy South Florida family, respected, comfortable, and seemingly perfect. She was the kind of woman who appeared to have it all: a beautiful home, a close-knit family, and a reputation for elegance and poise in her community. She had a successful husband, 3 accomplished children, and a life many envied. Their family gatherings were the picture of happiness, filled with laughter and warmth, or so it seemed to outsiders. But beneath the surface, the Adelson family hid dark secrets. Tensions simmered behind closed doors, and not everything was as harmonious as it appeared. Donna's world would unravel in a way no one could have predicted. The facade of perfection would soon be shattered by a series of shocking events. At the center of this tragedy was Daniel Markel, a brilliant law professor and Donna's former son-in-law. Daniel was admired in his field and loved by his students, but his personal life was far more complicated. His marriage to Donna's daughter, Wendy, ended in bitter conflict. Their divorce was contentious, with custody battles and accusations that left both families deeply divided. That conflict would spiral into a murder plot that shocked the nation. The story quickly became headline news, captivating the public with its twists and turns. Donna, once a grandmother in a beautiful home, would stand accused in a courtroom. The image of a loving matriarch was replaced by that of a defendant facing the gravest of charges. The story of the Adelsons is a reminder that even the most perfect-looking families can hide devastating problems. Appearances can be deceiving, and secrets can fester for years before coming to light. Daniel Markel's murder would expose the family's darkest truths. Investigators would uncover a web of lies, betrayal, and desperation. After a decade-long investigation, Donna Adelson is now a convicted felon, sentenced to life in prison. Her fall from grace was as dramatic as it was tragic. The case has gripped the country, leaving everyone asking, how could a grandmother be involved in such a crime? The public's fascination only grew as more details emerged. Today, we'll follow the story from its beginnings to its tragic end, tracing the events that led to this unimaginable outcome. This is the fall of a South Florida matriarch, a story of ambition, betrayal, and the devastating consequences of secrets kept too long. Daniel Markel was a renowned law professor at Florida State University, admired for his intellect, sharp wit, and unwavering passion for justice. He inspired students and colleagues alike, challenging them to think critically and pursue fairness in the legal system. He was a Harvard Law graduate, a devoted father, and a respected member of his community. Daniel's academic achievements were matched only by his commitment to his family and his drive to make a difference in the world. Daniel's life was filled with promise. He was a rising star in the legal world and a loving dad to 2 young boys. He balanced his demanding career with fatherhood, always making time for his sons. In 2006, he married Wendy Adelson, a fellow lawyer he met through mutual friends. Their shared ambitions and backgrounds brought them together. Together, they built a life in Tallahassee, far from Wendy's family in South Florida. They settled into a new community, hoping to create a happy home. For a time, they seemed the perfect couple, successful, ambitious, and surrounded by friends. Their lives appeared full of promise and opportunity, but happiness faded and their marriage unraveled. Tensions grew, and eventually, they separated. Daniel's life was cut short at just 41, the victim of a brutal, targeted murder. The shocking crime shattered the sense of safety in his quiet neighborhood. His death sent shockwaves through Tallahassee and the legal community. The loss was felt far beyond his immediate circle. The loss was deeply felt by his family, friends, and students. Many struggled to understand how such a tragedy could happen. Daniel Markel's story is not just about a crime. It's about a life of achievement, love, and tragic loss. His legacy continues to inspire those who knew him. He was more than a victim. He was a father, a scholar, and a man whose future was stolen. His dreams and ambitions were left unfulfilled. The question remained, who would want him dead? The search for answers would grip the community for years. The answer would reveal a web of anger and betrayal, stretching far beyond what anyone could have imagined. And it all began with a family feud that would change lives forever. Daniel and Wendy's marriage ended in a bitter divorce in 2012. Years of tension and unresolved conflict finally boiled over, leaving both sides emotionally exhausted and deeply hurt. The main battle that followed was over custody of their two young sons, a fight that would define the next chapter of their lives. Wendy wanted to move back to South Florida with the boys, hoping for a fresh start near her family. But Daniel refused, determined to stay close to his children and remain a constant presence in their lives. After a heated legal battle, a judge sided with Daniel, blocking Wendy's attempt to relocate with the children. The Adelson family, especially Wendy's mother Donna, was furious at the outcome, feeling powerless and betrayed by the court's decision. They saw Daniel as the main obstacle to their family's happiness and unity, blaming him for Wendy's pain and their separation from the boys. Tensions escalated within the family, and Donna's resentment toward Daniel only grew stronger with each passing day. Prosecutors say Donna's anger eventually turned into hatred, fueling private conversations about drastic solutions to their problem. Jokes about hiring a hitman were made, comments that, in hindsight, would prove to be chilling and deeply unsettling. The custody fight became a war, with Daniel at the center of the Adelsons' growing frustration and anger. The family's anger and sense of injustice set the stage for a deadly plan that would soon unfold. What started as a bitter custody dispute would soon spiral into a murder plot that shocked everyone who knew them. The Adelsons wanted Daniel out of the picture, permanently, believing it was the only way to restore their family's happiness. The seeds of tragedy were sown in the courtroom, where justice and vengeance became dangerously intertwined. No one could imagine just how far this family feud would go, or the devastating consequences that would follow. July 18, 2014, Daniel Markel followed his usual morning routine in Tallahassee. As he pulled into his garage, he was ambushed. Two men in a rented Toyota Prius approached. One fired 2 shots through Daniel's window. Daniel was gravely wounded, left to die in his own driveway. A neighbor heard the gunshots, called 911, and emergency crews rushed Daniel to the hospital. Despite doctors' efforts, Daniel died the next day. The murder stunned the quiet neighborhood and the legal community. Police quickly realized this was no random act. It was a professional hit. The killers had studied Daniel's routine and struck with precision. The question, who ordered the murder? The answer would take years to uncover. The trail would lead investigators from Tallahassee to Miami and straight to the Adelson family. The hunt for justice had begun. The investigation started with a single clue, a light-colored Prius seen fleeing the scene. Police traced the car to 2 Miami men, Sigfredo Garcia and Luis Rivera. Phone records linked them to Catherine Magbanua, Garcia's ex-girlfriend. Magbanua, in turn, was closely connected to Charlie Adelson, Donna's son. The pieces fell into place. The Adelsons, angry over the custody battle, had motive. Prosecutors believed Charlie, encouraged by Donna, hired Magbanua to arrange the hit. Magbanua recruited Garcia and Rivera to carry out the murder. Rivera cooperated with police, admitting they were paid to kill Daniel. Garcia and Magbanua were convicted and sentenced to life in prison. But the investigation didn't stop there. Detectives kept building their case against Charlie and Donna Adelson. The web of conspiracy was unraveling. The matriarch's role was about to be exposed. In 2022, Charlie Adelson was arrested, thanks to secret FBI recordings linking him to the murder plot. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. Attention then turned to Donna Adelson, long suspected as the mastermind. After Charlie's conviction, Donna and her husband tried to flee the country, but were arrested at the airport. Donna, at 73, faced charges of murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. At trial, prosecutors played damning recordings of Donna discussing the plot in code with Charlie. Emails and texts revealed her hatred for Daniel and desperation to bring Wendy and the boys home. The defense claimed Donna was just a worried mother, not a killer. But the jury didn't buy it. In September 2025, Donna Adelson was found guilty on all counts. The matriarch who once ruled her family now faced a life behind bars. The courtroom drama had reached its climax. Justice was closing in. At sentencing, Donna Adelson stood before the judge, insisting on her innocence. She showed no emotion, declaring she was wrongly convicted and misunderstood. Donna claimed the recordings were just family conversations, not evidence of a crime. She expressed no remorse for Daniel Markel or his family. Her focus was on her own fate. Her defense team echoed her claims, arguing the case was built on assumptions, not proof. They promised to appeal, painting Donna as a scapegoat. Even after the verdict, Donna refused to accept responsibility. Her words were defiant, her stance unchanged. The courtroom was left with a stark contrast, a grieving family, and a convicted matriarch in denial. The final act of the trial was set. Judge Stephen Everett addressed Donna Adelson, rejecting her claims of innocence. He called the evidence overwhelming and her actions cold and calculating. The judge noted Donna's lack of remorse and the devastating impact on Daniel's family. On October 14, 2025, Donna was sentenced to life in prison without parole, plus 2 consecutive 30-year terms. The sentence was the maximum allowed by law. Donna joined her son Charlie in prison, both convicted for the same crime. The sentencing brought a sense of finality to a decade-long ordeal. Justice, at last, was served for Daniel Markel. The story of the Adelsons had reached its bitter end. The Adelson family, once a symbol of success, is now shattered. Harvey Adelson lost his wife and son to life sentences. Robert watched his family's downfall unfold in public. Wendy, never charged, must raise her sons alone, haunted by the tragedy. Daniel's boys lost their father, grandmother, and uncle to violence and betrayal. The Tallahassee community was shaken, its sense of safety broken. The legal world mourned a brilliant mind lost too soon. There are no winners in this story, only pain, loss, and lessons about the dangers of unchecked anger. The Adelson name is forever linked to a murder-for-hire plot. 2 young boys must grow up with the truth of their father's death. Justice was served, but the wounds remain. The fall of a South Florida matriarch stands as a warning. Even the most privileged families can be destroyed by hate.